About 7 or 8 years. That's when it, right? Wasn't that really famous like 7 or 8 years ago? It reminds me of a certain period in your life. You know, a song reminds you of that, high school or whatever it is.
For us, it's Paul Anka memories. And then we go back into that.
Times of your lives.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Very, very busy Thursday.
That's right. We want to get to this story, a final farewell. We have a live look inside St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston, Texas, where President George H.W. Bush is lying in repose.
The event is wrapping up now to prepare for the president's Texas funeral. That'll be later this morning.
That's right. He will arrive in College Station via train. William Lajeunesse joins us right now from the Bush Presidential Library there, where the president will be buried later today. William.
Good morning, guys. It is still dark here. There are 1,000 points of light in the sky, and tonight there'll be one more. This is Texas A&M University. The Presidential Library is behind me, but also the president's, the Bush School of Public Service. That is his living legacy. And the university, for the rest of the year, the sports teams will wear this logo of President Bush right there, 41, on their helmets, on their sports jerseys as well, including the upcoming Gator Bowl. But A&M originated as a military college. It is one reason the president chose it in 1990, while still in office, as his presidential library and final resting place.
He could be in Arlington National Cemetery, but he's going to be at Texas A&M, which says a lot about his heart being a lot like the heart of Aggies. It means a lot to all Aggies.
So that church service will be at 10 a.m. in Houston, and following that, a funeral train will leave for here at 1 p.m. and it's about a 70-mile journey to College Station. It will go slow, no stopping, but allow people along the route to see the train, to say farewell to the president. The sides of the actual funeral car will be plexiglass so they can see the casket inside. Funeral trains really recall another era. 25 million Americans lined the route for President Lincoln, and the last funeral train was Eisenhower in 1969. Now, the train will arrive here around 3:25 local time. The family will depart from the passenger cars. They'll be met by a chorus of military cadets as well as the Aggie marching band. The casket will be lowered, and then it will take about a 1-mile motorcade here to the library and the final resting place. The family itself will disappear behind a line of trees, sycamores and oaks, over a little bridge, and that's where the cameras will stop, and it will be a private ceremony, so to speak. The Navy will have a 21 flyover of jets, F-18 Super Hornets from Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach, 21-gun salute, and then finally that 3-gun volley, which will tell us that the president is finally interred alongside Barbara, his wife, and their daughter, who died at age 3 of leukemia. Robin, back to you guys.
All right, William Lajeunesse in College Station, Texas. Thank you very much. So today, an emotional week will conclude. Yesterday, though, of the 4 eulogists at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., the one everybody wanted to hear was how the 43rd President of the United States, who was the son of the 41st President of the United States, would remember his father, and he remembered him this way.
We're going to miss you. Your decency, sincerity, and kind soul will stay with us forever. So through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have. And in our grief, let us smile knowing that Dad is hugging Robin and holding Mom's hand again.
There he pats the casket of his father. Always wondered how a child can do that. I mean, he did a beautiful job eulogizing his father, but that has to be extremely difficult to fight back the tears and have to eulogize your parent.
I've done it.
You've done
Brian's done it. It's really hard. It's the hardest speech you'll ever give.
Yeah.
I get the sense he wrote it to. I mean, I just heard the way he speaks is the way that speech came out. I'm sure we'll get the backstory on it shortly. But sadly, they've been planning this since, what, 2011 in detail. So everybody knew the oldest child, not let alone the former president of the United States, and his son will be giving it. Still, it doesn't prepare you for the moment. A couple of things. Not easy closing out a show where the whole world was watching. Number two is, John Meacham was great, profound writer.
The story, and he wrote the book about
Senator Simpson
Bush.
was fantastic. He was humorous. Brian Mulroney was good. He actually gave America more credit than Canada.
Right.
He said the finest country around. So
The former Prime Minister of
yeah,
Canada.
the former Prime Minister of Canada, and he also eulogized Barbara Bush. But I thought it was something that's going to live on forever. What I just thought it was good over the last few days is people weren't talking about the Persian Gulf Wars or the economy or winning elections or losing elections. They were talking about the quality, the character of the person. And I think that's what goes through. Even if you're not in politics, people are talking about what kind of life do you want to lead? How do you want to be remembered? And it's making a lot of people get into these conversations. You want to be known as the richest. You want to be known as the best. You want to have the most friends. You want to have the most respect. If all those things are yes, yes, and yes, how do you do that? Maybe you do what he did.
The family wanted a ceremony of unity, and so they had all the four other presidents sitting together. Chelsea Clinton was talking to Mike Pence. Then Chelsea Clinton was sitting next to Ivanka. You can see there you have the Trumps and the Obamas and the Clintons and the Carters were sitting on the other side of Hillary.
Right, and much has been said about how the Trumps and the Obamas and the Clintons...
We were all watching those moments.
There wasn't a lot of interaction. The Trumps and the Obamas did, but there was no interaction with the Clintons.
Other than, Melania came over and Hillary just shook her head. And,
well, at least they
recognize you.
They all showed up, and it was a great honor of the 41st president.
But it's true. Weren't we told not to talk in church? So you can't really talk and go, what have you been doing? What's it like not to run the country anymore?
Before you...
Well, and you know what?
get started,
Normally, in a formal church, you don't clap either. And this is an Episcopal church.
Yep.
This is the cathedral, but they did clap after 43 eulogized his dad.
It was terrific. All right. Meanwhile, there's a bit of news. House Republicans, as you know, have been trying to get the president to declassify certain documents, and now a tantalizing bit of information has come out. Apparently, they want the president to declassify an email chain between the FBI and the Department of Justice, because they say it will, according to John Solomon at The Hill, he says it's damning evidence of potential abuses of FISA and has been kept from members of Congress for the last 2 years.
They say that the intel community was very concerned about the reliability of that dossier, the dirty dossier, and that they were aware before getting the FISA warrant.
Here's John Solomon last night with Sean Hannity.
And there are 2 or 3 very important revelations. One is that James Comey's involved in discussions. 2, there is mention in these emails that the intelligence community, possibly the NSA or another agency, had concerns about the quality of the intelligence in the Steele dossier. And 3, that there were pretty significant worries, concerns that Christopher Steele had already begun talking to the news media. This is before they file the FISA warrant, before they fire him. If all those things are true, if the FBI had not corroborated and there were concerns about the Steele dossier.
So it sounds like it's really a smoking gun. Now the ball is in the president's court. The president has been talked out of declassifying other stuff by members of Congress and by the Department of Justice. Will he go ahead and reveal this stuff? It's in his power. Stay tuned.
Well, those questions come up to James Comey behind closed doors, and was that what the president talking about, saying, if you go after me and you want to declare war on the presidency, I have something in my arsenal.
All right, it's just unfolding. Carly Shimkus has some more headlines for us. Hey, Carly.
Hey, good morning, guys. And we begin here with a Fox News alert. A desperate search underway right now for 5 Marines after warplanes collide off the coast of Japan. 2 crew members have been rescued so far. One of them is in fair condition. The second Marine is being evaluated at a hospital. The fighter jet and refueling plane crashed during a routine training exercise like this one you see right here. We'll bring you more information as it comes in. And a Fox Business alert, the stock market on edge. It's about to reopen after the National Day of Mourning for President George H.W. Bush. Now, it's been a roller coaster week of gains and losses amid uncertainty over the U.S.-China trade truce. Chinese officials say they're confident in the 90-day pact, and President Trump is also optimistic, tweeting, quote, very strong signals being sent by China. A potential landmark Supreme Court case could affect the Robert Mueller Russia probe. Today, the High Court will review a double jeopardy loophole, allowing state and federal governments to prosecute someone for the same crime. Now, it could impact Paul Manafort, who pleaded guilty to federal charges, but potentially face state charges, even if he's pardoned by the president. And remember this scene from Christmas Vacation? Well, it happened in real life. Police in England spotting this van. Can you believe this? With a giant Christmas tree on top. Police posting the photo to warn drivers about the dangers of holiday driving. Don't holiday and drive, folks.
Oh my gosh, the top of the tree is dragging on the ground.
Can't see the forest
love
the tree.
The Christmas, yeah, good point. I love Christmas Vacation because even the roots are on the end of it. It's like they ripped it out of the ground.
It
That
just
guy's got a big house, apparently.
It just reminds me of something else that happened. The guy tied my tree up to my car. Does this ever happen to you? I have no more cash anymore. I live in a cashless society. I'm not be able to tip anybody unless they're carrying around the square.
Hold on, Carly brought up a good point about this guy. He said this guy has a mansion. This guy has a big house. He doesn't have a nice car. He spent all of his money on his house.
Right, but Carly says the roots are still intact, so it's as if he didn't cut it down. This somehow you're suggesting it's a stolen tree.
He just ripped it out of the ground.
Right. That was it, the Christmas Vacation one. The roots are like dangling.
Oh, I gotcha. Can I talk about myself again real quick?
You might as well.
I forgot my stand. Every year I forgot my stand because I want the guy to put the stand on to be able to get the tree. And every year I go, I can't forget it this year. And now I have 3 Christmas stands because I feel so guilty. But I know I don't do a good job jamming it into the prongs.
That's the beauty of the artificial Christmas tree.
I know.
It's already installed.
So, wait, you get the Christmas tree guy to put the stand on, so you drive down the road with the Christmas tree on the roof of your car with the stand attached?
Right, here's the thing.
That's even worse than the roof.
I don't even tip them. You can put the stand on at home. Most do.
It's just 3 little screws.
I do terrible putting it straight. People like,
no, and then you have the whole family.
By the way,
is it upright?
Don't forget to water your tree. My tree was already out of water like 2 days ago.
Right.
I need to do it when I get home.
That's why we have butlers.
Water your tree.
All right, straight ahead. A surge of migrants are trying to get into the United States from California to South Texas, and Border Patrol is stretched to the limit. So how can we contain the caravan? We're going to ask the one guy who knows, a Border Patrol chief you're going to meet.
Plus, is Facebook putting profits over your privacy? The secret email just